Sit back with psychic medium Chris and Jillian as they discuss about major topics and also interview a lot of people. Join us underneath here at Divine Oracle Podcast. We're reaching you through Podbean.
You're welcome, everybody. It's your co-host, Jillian, today, along with the host of the show of Divine Oracle. Brother Chris is with us in the studio. How you doing today, Brother Chris?
I'm doing quite fine. And we also have a special guest in our studio right now.
We are going to welcome psychic medium Tara Chartrand today to the studio. So, welcome. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you. I'm doing good, thanks.
That's good.
Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself before we get going?
Sure. I'm a psychic medium. I work out of Manitoba. I work out of my home in Stony Mountain. I also rent space in Winnipeg. I work, sometimes I go around, I travel to different towns and different areas. I also do a lot of other services. I do like card readings, Akashic records, integrated energy therapy, Reiki. I'm a master and I also teach some of those workshops.
So you're a Jill of all trades, as we'll call it, amongst the spiritual world.
Yeah, you could say that.
So how long have you been actually working within the spiritual field by chance?
I guess professionally since about, I think 2017 was kind of when I started taking my Reiki training and practicing with that. But I've always been connecting to spirit and fairies ever since I can remember as a little girl.
Now, I know beforehand, though, that you were kind of talking about that we're both Indigenous. Do you find, though, that your Indigenous ancestors are coming through at times when you're working in the spiritual community?
They definitely do, especially when my client is also Indigenous. They'll start bringing through a lot of Indigenous teachings, and they'll start bringing through like smudging and ceremonies. And even when I can't tell by looking at the clients that they're Indigenous, that stuff will just start streaming through. And it's pretty interesting when it resonates with them. And they're like, oh, I was just thinking about doing that. Or I just started back into the dance ceremonies or whatever it is, like specifically for them. So it's pretty neat when that does start streaming through.
Right now, I'm reading though actually underneath your website. It says like community, you work with tarot cards, you do Reiki, the animal master Reiki also, and your pet psychic, which is pretty cool. Now, with that there, or working with pet psychic, do you actually look at an animal and be able to communicate with them that way?
So with animals, I usually do it long distance, and I communicate. Well, I'll have like their owner on a Zoom call, and then I'll connect with their animal via distance. I find it's just easier. There's not as much distractions if the animal's walking around or licking or doing different things, and it's not as distracting.
Yes.
I also find that they're more relaxed when they're in their home environment. It's pretty neat, some of the things animals will come through with, and a lot of times it's what they're seeing or sensing with their owners that they'll talk about. Can
you give sort of like a sample by any chance?
Yeah. One of the things I thought was pretty interesting was I was communicating with a dog, and the dog was saying that it didn't like its water bowl in the house. And I was asking it like, well, what do you mean? What's wrong with your water bowl? And it said, it's metal. I don't like the taste of the metal bowl. I'll go outside, I'll ask to go outside, and then I'll drink from the water outside. So I said that to the owner, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I was wondering why he never drank his water in the house. Like, he would cry and cry to go outside. I'd let him up and watch him, and he would just go drink and come back in. But he would never touch his water bowl. And I said, is it metal? And she's like, yeah, it's a metal bowl. Well, he doesn't like the taste of the metal in his water.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll get a new bowl for the dog. And so it's pretty neat. Like things, like I never would have thought about that for a dog.
Yeah.
On your website, you also have IET Master. What does that stand for, and what do you do with it?
Oh, yeah. So that's integrated energy therapy. It's an energy healing modality. It's similar to Reiki, but also different, I guess, in different ways. It's more working with acupressure points. So you kind of go through the different points, like let's say on the top of your forehead. By putting your fingers on those points, it'll start to release the suppressed emotions that we hold in those areas of our body. And it's working with the 9 healing angels of the energy field. So you're connecting to the angels and healing through them and working with them.
Do you have any particular stories on that one or examples to talk about that to give people a little more idea on how it works?
From a teaching perspective, it's really opened my eyes by watching people, like the students in the class, working on other people. You get to kind of see both perspectives at the same time. So when they're practicing on each other, after they're done practicing, I'll call the group back and then say, oh, what was your experience? So the one person will say, let's say, I don't know, I felt there was a lot of sadness when I was releasing this particular area for you. And then we'll talk it through. So as a psychic, like I can pick up what it is, but I'll guide them through like, oh, does this have anything to do with the male in your life? And then they'll be like, yeah, like, you know what, there was a breakup, let's say. And then the sadness will come from the breakup, and then they'll find where they're holding that in their body. And then going back and forth between the one that was practicing on the person and the person that was kind of the client in that session, it's pretty neat to see how the story kind of plays out with how they can feel that they're holding that tension or that sadness in that area. It's like if it was in the forehead area, let's say, then it could be like, I don't know, they get headaches and then they feel like crying with the headaches, let's say. So it's pretty neat to help people make those connections and then to see them releasing that and seeing the emotions in class while they're working through it. So some people start crying while they're getting worked on in the workshop. So it's pretty neat to watch it all unfold and get both sides, right? Because when you're with a client, you don't always get that. You get, the allotted time to work with them, and you can tell them everything that's going on, but you don't always get the whole story from a client, right? It's kind of, you do your job and then they go on their way, and not everyone sends you that email later saying like, oh my gosh, when you said this, it was because of this and you were right. And you don't always get that confirmation with clients.
Yeah, so having the class kind of helps. So you get that relief as well from your students. And you're like, wow, I'm so glad that they could be helped. And, you're part of that journey.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And especially when you get people that are either skeptic or don't trust in their own abilities, because having them have the opportunity in a safe environment to ask questions or to be like, oh, all I was picking up was, let's say, a color. All I could see when I was working on you was purple. And I'll go, okay, well, let's sit with that for a minute. And then digging deeper, like, what does the color purple mean to you? And then they'll be like, oh yeah, purple was, I don't know, the color we buried my loved one in or something. And then digging deeper and deeper, you can see where they hold that suppressed emotion in their body. And both people learn from that. Well, the whole class does, but those two people on a more personal level, right? So it's pretty fascinating how it helps you open and trust your intuition as well.
Absolutely. Now, I know so that you were saying about angels. Now, you sort of like me, I presume that you also work with the angels, which are always a higher power. Which angel do you like working with by any chance?
That's a good question. So I guess when I go into like a healing or a session with someone, I kind of open it up to all of my spirit team and the angels. Yeah. And I invite who is for the highest and greatest good of my client and myself throughout the session, because I might also need certain angels or guides to work with me, but my client also might need certain angels or guides to work with them throughout the session. So I always think that they know best versus me calling in certain angels, right? I leave it up to them because they know. And it's funny because I remember there was one session, I was doing a Reiki session on someone and Archangel Michael came in. And that's a whole long story with him, but it was pretty neat how he was working with the client. Yeah. I'll kind of shorten it up a bit. But he showed up and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. So he was working with me throughout the whole session with this client. And then at the end of the session, I said a couple of things like, I was asking like what she was seeing and how it was for her and the things that she was mentioning. And then she's like, I know Archangel Michael was there. I was like, oh, how did you know that? And she's like, I smelled cookies throughout the session. And that's what I've always associated with Archangel Michael. Yeah. And that's what she needed. Like, that was her favorite archangel. And it was, I don't know, I guess it meant so much more to her to know that he was there to help with the healing session.
Archangel Michael, like, holy cow, like he's the strongest angel actually out there, right? Even with
he's.
Go ahead.
Sorry, he's very powerful. I agree.
And how long have you been more in tune with the spiritual world yourself?
Honestly, as long as I can remember. Like, I remember being a little girl, like still having stuffed animals on my bed and talking. Like they would almost communicate through my stuffed animals when I was younger, so it didn't scare me as much. And as I got older, I realized, I started getting rid of stuffed animals because I was getting older. And then it was like, well, those voices are still there. Like, who are they and where are they coming from? And then I would start seeing angels. I was seeing orbs. Fairies were probably... I think I've been working with fairies the longest. Like, when I think back to my childhood, it was so normal that, it doesn't really stand out. It was like an everyday thing for me, I guess. So I try to look back and like, when is the youngest memory I have of working with angels and guides? But I remember seeing like orbs, and I would see things. I remember being in school in the classroom, and I would see like these fairies or an angel walk by, and I'd be so excited. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is happening in class. I would look around and everybody was just not seeing anything walking through the room. Like, I remember thinking, is there something wrong with me? How come nobody else sees that beautiful angel or that fairy, or like there was magic everywhere, but nobody else was seeing it.
Yeah, because I know that sometimes we actually, psychic mediums and spiritual people, we see things that normal people won't see, right? But for me, what I usually say, though, that's our gift, though, that we actually have the opportunity that we can share with others. Now, right when you were younger, what were your classmates like? Were they like laughing at you at all, or?
Well, yeah. So the first few times I started talking about it, I would ask people, like, "Do you see that thing over there?" And they would look, and then no, nobody saw that. They made me think that I was crazy. Like, I thought there was something wrong with me, to the point where I actually went and got like a scan on my brain. Because I told my doctor I'm seeing things and nobody else is seeing them. I'm seeing lights, I'm seeing flickers, I'm seeing angels, and they scanned my brain and they said there's nothing wrong with me. So then that's when I started questioning, like, okay, if there's nothing wrong and no one else is seeing this. So I learned to kind of stop talking about it because I started losing friends. Okay. People were scared to sleep over, like, because they thought I had like ghosts. Well, I did at one point have a ghost in my house. That's a different story. But then people start getting scared, right? Because they're like, they start associating it with you as a person, thinking that there's ghosts around me. Meanwhile, we all have angels and guides and ancestors and loved ones around us. Just they weren't open to seeing it. So I learned to stop talking about it around people because I was, I don't know, trying to fit in, I guess, right? Like, everyone looks at you like you're crazy, and you start losing friends because they think you're crazy or think you're weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally hear you on that. I know back, like Jill and I, we go back all the way back to high school. So we're going to say that's a coon's age. But so many people back then always thought I was nuts because I was able to see elementals and all that back then. So yeah, I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It's like that's.
How did your parents feel about it? Like, how did they treat you? Did you talk to your parents about it? Like, your family?
Yeah, I did. Actually, my mom was very intuitive. She had a lot of her own kind of stories and things that she was able to see and sense. So my mom's always been very open, and I'm so grateful for that, because I think that was my only safe place for most of my life was my family. There wasn't very many other people that I could talk to about it. It took me a long time to find other friends. Like, I'd probably say within the last 10 years, maybe I started finding other people that believe in this stuff and see things and sense things. But my parents were very open to it. My mom was really good at teaching me how to shut it off, because that's kind of what she did. Like, back in her day, we had no internet or anything until, I'm really dating myself, but until I got out of high school, I guess, we started getting internet and stuff. So
in the late 90s, yeah. Well,
we were behind the times too, I think.
So it's like now I know. Sorry for bringing this up, but I've got my great grandmother talking to me. She's actually on my left hand side though. since you're over in Manitoba, and that's right where the start of MMIW is originally from, have you been able to help out with any cases actually out there by any chance?
I mean, yes and no. I've been able to help provide closure for quite a few families that have come to me. And I always go in not knowing anything, right? So as I start streaming things and bringing through details, at some point it always hits me and I realize what's going on, and it's hard to put into words, I guess. It's really heavy, right? Like, the stuff around all of that. There's a lot of heaviness around it, so it's pretty interesting how they bring through peace and closure to the families. I don't know that I've ever helped like with a case where it's helped bring anything on the legal side of things. But I've had people tell me that it's helped them bring peace and closure, even though where else can you get that, right? When they're missing and they're nowhere to be found and there's no answers to be found. But when they bring through that they're okay on the other side, and they bring through details, and they change once they bring through who they are and what's going on, then they kind of change the subject and start empowering and bringing through wonderful things, things that they've been watching over since their passing. And so it's pretty interesting how something so heavy and negative and sad turns into something so beautiful by the end of the session. For myself though, my great grandmother, she kind of went through that stuff. It's great to hear from your end, so I do say thank you and miigwech. Miigwech.
Also, though, is your spiritual teacher. What kind of stuff do you kind of teach, though?
So I teach all the levels of Reiki. I teach integrated energy therapy. And then through IET, they also have some other workshops that they do. So I teach, one of them is called The Healing Angels of the Energy Field. That's a beautiful workshop. It's helping everyone connect to each one of the angels one at a time. So we kind of, we'll sit and talk about one of the angels for a bit. I have little cards with their pictures on it. So it's bringing their energy, their essence into the room. And then I walk them through a guided meditation to connect, where they can get their own personal message from each of the angels throughout the day. And then the last time I taught it, the angels also told me to grab like a collective message for the whole class. So they would be getting their own personal messages from the angels, and then I would get one for the whole group, and then we would share if they felt open to sharing their messages. We would all share the messages through the angels. So it's a whole day of connecting to angels and receiving messages. So it's really beautiful. The other one, I actually have a class coming up. It's called the Steps to Transformation. I've never taught that one yet. I'm going to be teaching it for the first time. And it's pretty neat because when I first heard about it, I was like, steps to transformation. Like, what is that going to be? Like, you take that first step, you make a website or whatever. But once I started reading into it, there was such such like a spiritual element to it, where you're kind of changing your DNA and you're clearing karma and you're moving through fears and doubts and worries. And it's on such a deep level spiritually. It's beautiful. So I'm pretty excited to be teaching that workshop. And then there would be a second one with that, where it's higher steps to transformation.
Okay.
So I'm excited about those ones. And then I've been working on some of my own workshops.
Now, I'm not saying actually underneath your website, you actually had a sort of a vendor show or something like that. And it happened back in February, and it was on the Valentine's weekend out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one would have been the Health and Wellness Expo.
Yes. Yeah. With that one there, did you do any workshops at that one, or any seminars, or did you have a table there?
So I get a table there, and then I offer mini readings throughout the day. So for me, it's like people that come to the show and maybe have never had a reading, or I get a lot of people that they've been wanting to get a reading but just haven't had the time. So they'll come and sit down and get a little mini reading with me.
Okay. All right. And then in March, it looks like they'll let you actually had a women's show also. Was it sort of
that one, sorry?
Okay. Right. Was it sort of the same at all? Do you know
it's at the same location. It's actually the same. So the husband runs the Health and Wellness Expo of Canada, and then his wife runs the Women's Expo.
Okay.
So in a way, they're very similar. And I do the same thing at the Women's Show. In the past years, I've also done part of the speaking role with the Women's Show, where I've kind of had a little spot on the stage to talk about my services and myself, and then do like a gallery reading where I've done like medium readings for it.
Going through your website, you're about 3/4 of the way down. I came across the fairy godmother sessions for kids and teens. Delve into that a little bit more, because that seems like really interesting. Because I know I've got 3 kids, 15, 19, and 21. And 2 of them are into the world, so to speak, of the spiritual realm. My middle child is desperate to be a part of it, but she's not getting anything. It's like she's over demanding of the spirit, so she's a little upset. But that sounds like something that would be awesome. So how would the kids get involved with that? And where did you get the idea for it?
Yeah, so I had a lot of people coming to me asking me exactly what you're saying. Is I've got this kid and I don't know what, they have all these gifts, or they have questions, or they're scared of things, they're seeing things, like all different kinds of things, and people just don't know where to turn. Like, who do you go to for someone when the kid is scared or they need help with their abilities? So that's where I came up with the idea, where I was like, well, I don't know I guess because I work with fairies, it was kind of a fairy godmother, like looking over and helping them with the magic part. I think it was more of the magic thing, Cinderella and the fairy godmother has a magic wand. So it's kind of helping kids with their abilities. It's always different, with every session, but also with children, where some kids are seeing things and they're scared because there's something in their closet, or there's kids that have really bad anxiety because they're picking up other people's emotions and they don't know where it's coming from. They don't know how to protect themselves. So I'll work with them throughout the session to give them whatever tools I can. And I'm always working with my higher team and my higher angels to help with that. So I just kind of ask spirit, right? I always go to them and say, well, what's going on here? What is the truth of this? And then streaming what we can do to help them. There are some kids that just they want a card reading to kind of help what's going on with their life. I've taught some kids how to play with their own cards. I had a kid come to me and she had her own deck of, I can't remember if it was tarot or oracle, but she had her own deck and she really wanted to learn how to play with it and how to use it. So I gave her tools like how to protect herself, because there was an adult in her life that was fearful of it, thinking there was something bad with it. So I brought in a lot of empowerment and how to protect herself and knowing that she's safe. So it's always different with kids and what their abilities are, or what they're looking to gain from a session.
Okay. All right. So for people that are actually on their own spiritual journey right now, what would you suggest for them, basically? Like you're saying, those basically get in contact with people within the spiritual community, that if they can't reach out to somebody, what would you say to them, especially on their own spiritual journey?
So what comes through a lot for me with helping people is their spirit team tells them to go within, right? So once you start analyzing your own fears, your doubts, and then the things that make you excited and the things that motivate you, it's almost like the more you can get rid of or rise above the fear and the doubt and start acting on the things that make you excited, make you happy, things start lining up. And to me, when those signs, synchronicities, and I call it magic, when the magic starts happening in life, then it kind of opens them up to the possibilities of all the things that are around them. It raises their consciousness, it raises their vibration, and then they're able to start seeing things more, they start believing more. And to me, that's like the best way to open up the door to spirituality. And I don't know, it's like that excitement, right? They get that excitement and then they start seeing it more.
For people to reach you, they can reach you at tarachartrand.com. Are you on any social media sites?
Yeah, I'm on most of them, I guess. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are my main ones. So if they search up Tara Chartrand Psychic Medium, I should pop up on either one of those.
Okay. Do you have any events or anything coming up in the future, like April, May, June, that they can look at?
Oh, I'll be doing Galaxy Psychic Fairs. They travel through all of Canada. They're coming to Winnipeg March 19 to 22nd. So I'll be joining them there again. So I've got the Higher Steps to Transformation coming up April 11th and 12th. And then April 26th, I have Reiki Level 3. So I think those are the ones that I have planned for now. And then I'm just working through my schedule. It's harder through summer holidays because you never know when people are going to be around to take workshops.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been kind of juggling. I'm like, do I launch a workshop through the summer holidays, or do I kind of take that as my time to work on my own workshops?
Now, can people take part online with these at all, or do they have to be in person?
That's a great question. The Reiki levels, they can do it online. The IET ones are a little bit more tricky because they don't have like a downloadable manual that I can send people. So if someone takes that online, then I would have to find a way to get manuals to people. I'm still kind of working through the timelines and how to do all that kind of stuff. So for now, just to keep things a little bit more simple for myself, I keep it in person only, except for the Reiki ones, because with Reiki, I'm able to send a digital copy of the manual.
So again, though, we do say thank you very much.
Okay, so to reach Tara Chartrand, she's at tarachartrand.com. She's on social media sites. You can Google her. And she is from Manitoba. So if you need anything, reach out to her.
All right, well, thank you very much. And you have a wonderful day. And thank you very much to all of our listeners for tuning in.